Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel in the first place. Happy October. Okay, today we have Pynk by Hello Saximus on AO3. It's a Bakugou X listener. The link will be in the description, and let's go ahead and get into it. Bakugou had no idea how the two of you ended up together. It was even more bewildering to him that you'd ever spent an ounce of your time on him in the first place, with how poorly he treated you, as well as most other people. The first few times you tried to talk to him, at least. But even with the curses and mean words he'd hurled in your direction, you still had smiled, and had come back the next day even more determined to befriend him. He was a cold, faraway planet, and you were the sun. Before he'd even realized it, you'd pulled him into your orbit, and it made him sick every time he would respond so rudely to your kind gestures. So, without thinking, he let himself gravitate closer to you until he was practically burning in your glow. It didn't take him long to not mind the heat, and when you finally confessed to him that night on the beach, he had let your warmth envelop him completely. From that day on, he was wholeheartedly yours, whether or not you had asked for him to be. You wanted to wear his sweatshirts, so he bought cute ones to match your aesthetic and wore them more often than not. You had a killer sweet tooth, so he always had candy in his pockets, in his bag, in his room. You wanted to hold his hand, so he always had one free one for you to take. But even with as much as he unconsciously conformed to your unspoken wants, there were still some things he wouldn't do to change his style completely, utterly flip his brash personality, devote every waning second of his life to you, and forget about his own needs. Bakugou wouldn't submerge himself in the perfect pastel world you'd created for yourself, but he'd be damned if he didn't wear all of the little pink bracelets you made for him. At first, no one really noticed them besides Kirishima, who, like yourself, was almost constantly glued to his side, and which his friend elected to kindly ignore, because it wasn't really a big deal. When you started to make more for him, as he bashfully confessed that he'd taken a liking to the bracelets, it felt wrong to not wear them all at once, since you'd put so much time and effort into making him something. You insisted that he didn't have to wear them all simultaneously, or at all, for that matter. But alas, he persisted, and started wearing them around his ankles when his wrists filled up. He was changing out of his hero costume after a taxing day of training, when his classmates really first took notice. Bakugou never had the bracelets on during training, nor when he used his quirk at all, in fear he'd damage and ruin them. So, after he'd slipped back into his uniform, he made quick work of putting the bracelets back on. He wasn't fast enough, though. "Whoa, what are those, Bakugou?" Kaminari exclaimed, loud enough to catch the attention of the entire locker room, and as much as Bakugou tolerated him compared to the rest of their classmates, he could feel this dull anger sending shocks of power to his hands. "Dude, you've got like 50 of them!" Bakugou slammed his locker and started slipping on his shoes, maybe a little faster than usual. His classmates, now intrigued, flocked like birds, and whether lightly teasing him or not, doused him in questions and inquires. "Why are they all pink? How many more do you have? Seriously, who has that much pink yarn? Why do you have them on? I really think we need to take into consideration how much pink yarn was used in the making of these bracelets. The pink yarn industry is going to go out of business at this rate. Who gave them to you?" Deku managed to tick his last nerve with a question barely heard over all of the others. Bakugou turned to Midoriya, just as he was about to leave the locker room, fed up to the heavens, and just about pushed over the edge. With hands balled, small bursts of explosions around them, he replied, "My partner, so shut the hell up." He left without another word, cheeks stained pink and steam practically billowing from his ears like a kettle. He wasn't bashful about your cute antics or the gifts you'd made for him, just more along the line that he'd been caught red-handed with them and then interrogated so firmly. He made an effort to snap at everyone for the rest of the day, besides you, even giving Kirishima the cold shoulder, and only letting his guard down once the final bell rang. You caught up to him as he was making his way back to the dorms, after having chatted with Mr. Aizawa about bettering your quirk, and you saw his body visibly relax at your call to him. Bakugou turned to face you, though he wasn't smiling, not that he often did, but you noticed that he liked to at least make an effort for you. Still, you placed a kiss on his cheek, and after a rate grumbling on his part, you practically giggled and gave him a proper one. How was your day? I saw that you were a little fussy at the rest of the class. You wrapped your arms around his own as you walked, taking your time. The afternoon was too nice not to bask in. They're all assholes, feeling entitled to my personal life. You hummed and urged him on with your silence. Kaminari decided to scream to the whole damn locker room about the bracelets you gave me, and they wouldn't shut up about them. Is it really such a bad thing? You teased with a grin, all your focus on him. I can't see why they'd have any problem with it. It's just a change to your usual look. Bakugou gave an affirming grunt in response, and pulled his sleeve up to look at the bracelets, only to find them charred and hanging on by their last few good strands. He stopped, and when you gasped, he felt his heart sink into his stomach. He couldn't immediately find the right words to say, so before you could speak, he began to panic. I'm sorry. He looked at you with wide eyes, his hand on your arm as a silent plead to keep you by his side. He must have burned the bracelets when his quirk started acting up in the locker room. I'm sorry, I just got mad again. I'll make it up to you. Apologies from Bakugou were rare unless he really messed up, so you knew, even without hearing the sincerity in his voice, that he meant what he said. You weren't mad, not in the slightest. You had plenty of pink yarn left, as well as various other soft colors, but you still felt bad, just hearing how sorry he was for something more or less out of his control. No, don't apologize. It's okay, really. You squeezed his arm and smiled up at him, but he was still frowning deeply to himself, with eyes fixed on the charred bracelets. It was always hard for him to calm down when he was upset with himself, but you were dead set on making him feel better. I'll make you more, as many as you want. We can even make them together so that I can wear yours. You don't get it, listener. You spent hours making these, and now I've gone and fucked it up. You press yourself even closer to him, and his cheeks were, once again, bright red as he looked at you, though this time more sheepish than anything. You're fine, hun. I promise, I'm not mad at all. Bakugou sighed, and you knew that he was trying and failing to let the relief of your words set in. You cupped his cheek and turned him toward you, trying to take his mind off the burnt bracelets. Let's go back to my room. I can teach you how to make them, and we'll wear bracelets for each other. But if you really do feel bad, I could use some more of those lollipops you bought the other day. Bakugou looked at you with those hard eyes he often gave you at the most random points in time, and even if he couldn't smile, you could tell he was already calming down. It made you smile brighter. Whatever. You kissed him again, and many times again before you parted for the night, after staying up late making bracelets to replace those lost. Bakugou couldn't stay mad when it came to you, even if the one he was mad at was himself. He loved you too much for that. Alright, that's the end of this one. I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry for not posting for like a month. Anyways, I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, whatever, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye!